Entrepreneur's Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, so the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, and how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneur's Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I say that I've done 200 episodes of this, which I have. So I have a good buddy of mine, Zave Smith, on the line today. He is a consummate marketer. He is a photographer extraordinaire. He is a visionary in the Philadelphia tech scene, making his head explode right now. He has a new project called it's MyBkyrd, but it's spelled MyBkyrd. And it highlights individuals in the Philadelphia area in our backyard, hence the name. And it's a really neat project, and it really, I think, it hones in on all of Zave's specialties of sorts, his creativity and whatnot. And if the name rings a bell, Zave was I think was like the first or second interview I had on this podcast way back when. So he's making a second appearance. He is the only other person other than Zave to have a second appearance is Jason Falls, who's had 3 because he's special. But Zave is special too. That's the reason why he got to get on a second time. He's always up to something. So let's bring Zave in here and see what he's up to now. He's always up to something good.
Good morning.
How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good this morning.
That's great. And it's a cold day here in Philly. It's gonna be even colder when this episode comes out, because it's going to come out in January, and we're recording this in November, right before the week before Turkey Day in America. So,
yeah, we're going to have a house full of people starting to descend here on Tuesday. So,
oh geez,
no, I love it. I love it.
It'll be fun. All the kids running around, screaming, "Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa!" You're like, I'm trying to work, guys. Yeah, no, there's no working when everyone's in the house.
No, they land Tuesday evening, so it's really just Wednesday.
Oh, that's not bad, because Wednesdays no one wants to talk to you anyhow on that day anyhow. So
yeah, I wouldn't work on Wednesday anyhow.
You're not allowed to. My kid's off on Wednesday, so it's kind of like, all right, I gotta take him to the eye doctor. That should be not fun. So anyhow, enough of our side rant here. What is MyBkyrd? How did you come up with it? It's kind of clever.
MyBkyrd it just kind of fell into place. I'm basically a commercial photographer who specializes in lifestyle and portraiture. And when COVID first hit, the commercial photography world did a Houdini. There was nothing going on.
Nothing, yeah.
And after a month or two of sitting around the house, I think we locked down mid-March of 2019, I think it was. So
no, it was March of 2020.
2020, you're right.
Yeah, so, 2019. No, wait, it was March of 20. Yeah, it was March of 2020. It was mid-March.
Yeah, 2020. So by the beginning of May, I couldn't stand being at home anymore.
I'm sure your wife was more. It was more your wife saying, "Get the hell out of the house."
No, she was really not happy about me doing this. I masked up and geared up and decided to go do some photography of people who were back to work. That was what the series was called. So I went in various Philadelphia neighborhoods and I photographed the people who were back to work back then with security people, construction people, some
grocery people,
grocery people, and did this. I ended up doing a bunch of different neighborhoods, and it was a still photography project that was well received. I was really happy with it. So what happened is in the spring of this year, I had a couple days that I was a little slow. And I thought, you know what?
That's shocking because you're never slow. You're always doing something. You're always up to something.
Always up to something. So I decided to go back and think, why don't I go revisit some of these neighborhoods and see what's going on now, what the changes are. So I took my camera and I just happened to go to Reading Terminal was the first place I stopped. I don't know why I went there. Maybe I was hungry. I don't know.
So you're Jewish. We like to eat. So go figure.
Yeah. So I went down there and I spent a couple hours just photographing. And I came back and I showed my business partners at Xhilarate some of the shots I did. And Michael McDonald, who is our creative director and artist extraordinaire, just went bananas and said, we got to turn this into this project. And
Oh, I love
the
it.
MyBkyrd website we had developed for another thing about 4 or 5 years ago that just we never did anything with it. But
And you just have it. You had the domain name, so might as well use it.
we had the domain name,
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
we had the WordPress structure,
Yeah.
and so we just decided to apply that to this new photos and start this new project up. Now, the interesting thing here was the pivot I had to do, because what started as a still photography project wasn't really working on this new website. It really
Um,
had to be a video project. And to be quite honest, I've never shot like guerrilla style, one man band, impromptu videos of
oh, that's
anybody.
up for a challenge. There you go.
So I went back to Reading Terminal. I turned my little Canon R5, stuck a good shotgun mic on it, and went and started interviewing the people who work there, the people who shop there, the people who started businesses there. And I had 6 questions,
Yeah.
asked them, and filmed it. And because of who I am, most of the questions reflected around the business of being in the Reading Terminal.
Yeah.
And
If anyone knows Reading Terminal, it's a bustling marketplace of like stalls and shops and stuff, and it's very eclectic, very Philly.
yeah, and it's been around for about over 100 years now.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think it was started 1893, if I remember
Back
everything.
when the Reading Railroad used to
Yeah.
be around, and they used to go in right above it.
So I went back and I started doing these video interviews. And after doing 3 or 4 of them, I thought, I have no idea what I'm doing here. So I went on YouTube and I decided to Google um, interviews. Right, I said Google like shorts about Reading Terminal, and
Mhm.
about half dozen popped up, and they were all about the food, like close-ups of the grease coming off the sandwich, the cheesesteaks or
Ooh.
whatnot, or the
Now I'm
donuts.
hungry. Thanks, Zave.
Yeah, I know. And I thought, it never occurred to me to do anything about the food. I just wasn't interested in that. But I was interested in the people, their stories, why
Yeah.
they're there, what they like about working there or not like about working there. What is it like to own a business in the Reading Terminal?
Yeah.
And that's what the stories were about. So in each location, we've shot 3 locations already. We've shot the Reading Terminal, Italian Market, and Old City. And I'm
All
currently
bustling
working,
areas. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm currently almost done with Manayunk.
Ooh, that's a
And
fun area. Yeah.
yeah, so I've selected 6 establishments, not necessarily all businesses. I've tried to make it diverse as possible, but 6 establishments, and I've gone in there and talked to the owner or the manager, or there's some people who either work there or shop there, and asked them about what is it like to be in Old City, or what is it like to be in the Italian Market, and that's become the core of what MyBkyrd's about.
I love it. And that's one of the beauties of to swing it back around to entrepreneurship, which is what the whole idea of this podcast is. Because you're an entrepreneur, you can do this kind of project. You can say, "Hey, look, I have an idea. Let's run with it."
Yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
When you're an entrepreneur, you do have a lot of pressures on your time. Your calendar is probably, managing your calendar is probably even more important than managing your cash flow, right?
Oh,
So,
it's incredibly frustrating.
yeah, what is my priority today? Is it marketing? Is it hiring? Is it, improving the product? What is, but, one thing about being what I do is developing as an artist, as a photographer, as a videographer is also there. That's how we improve our product and make
Mhm.
ourselves more competitive.
You
So,
gotta.
I could justify going take a couple hours off in an afternoon and hanging out in the Reading Terminal or Italian Market. And I just loved it. I love the people I met there. They're
Yeah.
just like amazingly warm and friendly
Mhm.
and interesting and passionate. Like most entrepreneurs, one of the things I love about entrepreneurs, they're a bit like artists, is they're
Yeah.
crazy, usually crazy passionate about what they do,
Or
you
just
know,
crazy. Or just crazy in
or
general.
just crazy,
Yeah.
But it's actually the passion that attracts me, not so much the craziness.
Yeah.
Um, and the people who own places in Reading Terminal or Italian Market or Old City, they a lot of them didn't like set out in life to do what they're doing,
No.
but
Yeah.
they ended up there and they found or find it very fulfilling.
It is, and that's part of the goal is to find a job that you wanna do
Yes.
and sometimes that involves being your own boss, which is really cool. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but if you find something you love to do, you don't have to work a day in your life, which isn't quite true
It's
because
not quite true because you're still working. I
you still
enjoy
got
what
to
I
do the
do, but
taxes.
I
You
mean,
got to
talking to
enter the
Dave is work.
data.
Come on now. This is total work. No, it's totally fun. It's
Yeah, you
fun.
got to put up with people like Seth. I mean, there's a lot
I
of stuff you have
know.
to do.
It's networking, but that's the whole thing. Like last night, I went out to 2 networking events. I enjoy it. It's still, would I rather do something else? Yeah.
You
But
know,
it's part of the business and I enjoy it. And I enjoy meeting people and schmoozing and networking and finding business that way. But it
networking
is,
events are interesting because
yeah,
when I was younger, I used to go to networking events thinking, where can I find a client? What can I get out of this? Right?
yeah,
And that never worked. When you're that hungry, no
yeah.
one wants to
You
be
never
with
find
you.
it, yeah.
Yeah. And then, about 10 years ago, I had a change in my mindset where I went to networking events just out of curiosity. Who are these people? What do they do? Why do they do it?
Yeah.
And that's when I found networking events to be much more enjoyable and much more profitable.
Yeah, it's you don't go in there hungry. You go in there to meet people because it's if you go in there thinking that it's gonna be you're gonna get your next deal that day, it's completely wrong. You go in there to build a relationship. You go in there to meet the people. Like I met Zave on a virtual networking event. I think it was Startup Bucks. I met you
Startup
before then. I
Bucks.
think I met you before then somewhere. It's a small community. It's a big city, but small community. But like we became friends through Startup Bucks. But it's like I wasn't going there to necessarily make business. I was going there to meet people like Zave that are interesting that, might eventually turn into business, might turn into a podcast guest. At that point, I think Entrepreneurs the name was starting up around then.
Yeah.
Or during it was a pandemic project. So yeah. So now I'm gonna change this question on the head a little bit. I'm not even sure if you had this question back when you were on the podcast in the very beginning, but when you're out and about doing your projects, it could be MyBkyrd, it could be your commercial photography, but like both woo woo and like metaphysical and like hyperbole and literally, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time besides the camera?
Curiosity.
You're full of that. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to, if you're photographing a person or interviewing the person,
Mhm.
and if you don't care about what they're doing or what they're saying, it's going to be dull. It's going to be
It
boring.
is, yeah.
And fortunately, I'm still an extremely curious person. I find the world to be a mysterious, wonderful place.
Yeah.
And I think the curiosity. The second thing is, you do have to have your technical chops. You
Yes.
do have to know what you're doing technically to execute your vision. Because if you
Or does it take a lot longer to do?
well, or your brain's
Yeah.
only got so many, like, you've
Synapses,
got
yeah.
20 gallons of gas in any afternoon. So if you're
Yeah.
spending 15 gallons of that trying to remember how to drive the car, you're not going to enjoy the scenery, right?
Exactly. Good analogy. I like that. That's a good one.
So you got to have your technique down so it's almost or is a reflex, and that just takes a lot of practice, and that just takes a lot of growth.
Yeah.
But if you have your technical stuff down, so you don't
Yeah.
have to sit there and worry about exposure or f-stops. If you have The other thing is you have to let go and really connect to what your heart is telling you, what your gut instinct is telling
Yeah.
you. Like if you go in a situation and you're framing someone up and you go, this is what my client likes, and it's all in your head, but your eyes and your heart are telling you, oh my God, this is boring. Then you've got to have the guts and the freedom and the chutzpah to go, let's change it.
You
We're
have to.
halfway through this, but this isn't working. Let's change it. You got to do a pivot. And a
You have to
pivot
pivot.
in art and a pivot in business is the same thing. You let go of what's making you safe or what's expected, and you go for what's going to work. You have to be radically honest with yourself that this is not working. Let's go here because this could. And then maybe it
Mhm.
does.
And if it doesn't, you know what you do? You pivot again. You keep
You
pivoting
pivot
until you hit
again.
something.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't hit a wall, but you keep going. You keep pivoting and adjusting and tweaking. Just like a good photographer. Like take a photo, you look at it in the view, nowadays you look at it in the little screen, like, all right, well, that was okay. I'm taking that picture. You make an adjustment. Same thing. It's just you adjust things. You change the f-stop in business.
Yeah, exactly. It's what's the market doing? I always I always have to joke about marketing, that if your goal is to chase the market, you'll never get there, because the market is, it's like playing pin the tail on the donkey, except that you're not only blindfolded, but the donkey's moving.
Ooh, that could be really
S-
hard.
So what you got to do is just be really true to your vision of what you
Yes.
think is going to work. Now, if the market doesn't like it, it's going to tell you. You got to be in
Oh, it will.
dialogue with it, right?
Yeah,
But you can't just chase it. You gotta have some integrity.
absolutely. I mean, that's another thing that I always carry with you all the time is integrity and curiosity and being willing to pivot. I love that, dude. So
Yeah.
people can it's my backyard. It's MyBkYd.com.
Yeah. What is it? You have it up here
I put it
somewhere.
on the I put it on the ticker on the screen already for
M
those who are
Y.
listening.
Yeah. MyBkYd.com.
It's the Web 2.0 spelling. That's what it is. We'll put it
Yeah.
in the show notes so people can just click on it
And
and go
I
to it.
think they'll find it. It's kind of sweet. It's a very sweet and enjoyable thing.
Yeah.
There's 21 interviews up there now. By the time this comes out, there'll probably be another 6 or so. Plus
It's
a little
fun.
bit of intro with yours truly.
Of course.
It's not meant for people to go through every single video. I don't expect anyone to do that, but it's meant to, like, go watch this one, and tomorrow go watch that one, and I think you'll find it
Sometimes do it for a
enjoyable.
break. It's good for a break in the day. Go
Right,
watch the human interest piece. Go see Zave and his smile, and
and
you
it's
know,
more fun than Facebook, where everyone's just telling you how great they are.
or how bad the world is. One of the two. Yeah, that kind of thing. Well, Zave, this has been so great. I'm so glad I got you back on. I got
Hey,
to get to
Seth, is
throw,
good. I'm glad we fun.
I got to throw a big question at you, which was fun. So that was cool.
Cool. Okay.
And we'll see everyone. Guess what? Next time. Yay!
Take care, Seth. It's good to talk to you.
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net. Goldstein Media hopes you have enjoyed this episode.